The Republicans are both right and wrong in their interpretation of the election results. They are right in seeing this as a repudiation of what the Obama regime and the Democrats have done with the powers that were given to them in the 2008 election. They are wrong when they think that this marks a desire for a return to the policies of the golden age of George Bush. It may be that the election of 2008 was one of the biggest cases of election fraud in the history of the United States. Obama and the Democrats played on people's total disgust with the ways of the George Bush administration in holding out the hope of significant change and getting elected by doing so. But in the end, their first 2 years of office have looked more like the third term of George Bush than they have like the first term of Barack Obama. One wonders if Barack Obama is in charge of anything other than cleaning the White House toilets. In this election, people did, in fact, express huge disgust towards what has been going on. Thinking of myself as one of the more progressive people, I have felt totally betrayed by this government. Like a lot of others, I wanted the wars to come to an end, and they have escalated the war in Afghanistan. I wanted to have some kind of national health plan put in place to provide immediate coverage to the people who don't have it. They didn't do that. They have gone on to give trillions of dollars to the banking industry with no questions asked, and yet twice they have decided not to give cost of living increases to Social Security beneficiaries. And this is what people have expressed their anger about, all the things that should have been done and haven't been done. Basically, the lack of any progress, any change that's positive for the average American citizen. Now looking ahead, the Republicans are faced with the challenge of how to create more jobs in this country. And I feel comfortable in predicting that they are not going to deal with this problem successfully because they will not do what needs to be done. One of the things that needs to be done is that we need to adjust the distribution of income in this country. Currently, about 80% of personal income is going to the top 1% of the population. This means that the rest of us are scraping by, 99% of us are scraping by on 20% of the personal income. And this is showing up in all sorts of things. It's one of the things that is contributing to the mortgage crisis. It's one of the things that has been hurting car sales. It's hurt all kinds of durable good purchases because the consumer simply does not have the means to consume. The debt bubble has collapsed and has not been reflated and will not be reflated. The upshot of this really is that people cannot buy stuff from the factories that are owned by the investing class unless they have the money to do so. And currently, a lot of people don't have this money. And this situation will persist until they have more money to spend. It's not investment, it's not government stimulus that creates jobs. What really creates jobs is excess demand for goods and services. When there is more demand for goods and services than supply, then new factories are built, new people are employed, and people who want goods and have money to pay for them do get those goods. Now, the second thing that the Republicans need to look at, and the Democrats ultimately, is that we are beginning to see the cost of sending millions of jobs to India and China over many years. The persistently high unemployment rate is proof that this has been a bad policy. Now, the Republicans and the Democrats at some point in time are going to have to repeal the laws that provide tax advantages to companies that send jobs overseas. They're going to have to impose tariffs that level the playing field. And I think you can see from the current constitution of the Congress, this is not likely to happen. And yet this is what has to happen. That we basically have to not only stop sending jobs to India and China, we have to bring back the jobs that were already sent. We have to go back to producing everything that we consume. We need to get into a situation where we have some kind of value-added goods that we can sell to the rest of the world in return for the raw materials that we cannot produce for ourselves. If we don't do that, we are going to continue to stagnate. We are going to slide into a deeper state that more and more people are referring to third world America. In a third world country, a few people at the top have all the money and everybody else struggles in poverty. And that's what our situation looks like more and more. Now the thing is that if this problem is not addressed, the stresses in our society are going to build up. This dramatic shift in the Congress is only the first step in what might be called the ballot box revolution. If the Republicans do not have much success doing the right things, then we're going to see another ballot box upset in 2010 or 2012, along with some kind of upheaval in the presidency. You know, and the establishment Democrats and Republicans should not take too much comfort from this election. After all, the Republicans are having to deal with this new group of crazies in the form of Tea Party people. At the same time, the Democrats have seen almost half of the Blue Dog Democrats defeated and replaced by either Republicans or perhaps in some cases other Democrats. And the Democrats are going to find themselves in the next election facing an even more new faces than they are facing now. This is what's going to happen, is that we're going to be sending new faces to Congress if the old faces can't get the job done. So, at the moment, I think there's just not a lot of reason to be hopeful about what's going to go on in the political situation, because people are going to be stuck with old ideas and they're going to continue to try things that haven't worked in the past. So it's just time to hunker down and wait until we have our next chance to tell people that their position depends upon them getting results